This video is actually part of a series of lectures that are in a class entitled The MBTI Learning Styles, the 16 Personalities. You can access this course at udemy.com, teachable.com, or thinkific.com. You can also find more information at studentsuccessbase.com, which is our website, and the information is in printed format on Amazon in both a paperback and Kindle versions. So an ISTJ is a very calm and serious person. Now they're part, again, of that directing part, the directing functioning pair, the part that's sensing and thinking. They're decisive, they like action, values, facts, logic, and they like detail. So let's look at their general description again. Quiet, serious, they earn success by thoroughness and dependability. I think that's very important to remember. They're dependable. They are practical, matter of fact, realistic, responsible. They decide logically what should be done and work toward it in a steady manner, regardless of distractions. They take pleasure in making everything orderly in their life, and they value traditions and loyalty. So as we look at this ISTJ, remember that they're very logical and analytical, dependable, practical, sensible, realistic. I think that part is really important. I like the word realistic when I think of the ISTJ. They're realists. Their keywords are reflective and systematic. Their question is this practical and useful to me? Doesn't that really go with realistic? Because it works for me. Is this practical and useful for me? 11.6% of the total population is in this personality. Let's look at the learner style. An ISTJ prefers to use knowledge to gain experience, and they like that practical piece. They need the practical application for knowledge to really have a logical flow for them. They also need systematic step-by-step instructions. They like to understand the details, and they want to know why they're doing things and how those details really apply to their life today. It really needs to have a purpose for them. They will possess a very linear, organized, systematic way to thinking. It's very interesting to watch them because you can almost see them thinking at times. They're detailed oriented, and they prefer specificity to generalities. So don't give them a bunch of general things. They want very close details. Otherwise, they feel very lost. They enjoy experiencing, doing, and practicing. So they like to prove things. They like to prove and practice in order to really solidify that the information is right, that it's true, that it's valid or reliable. And they're good at focusing. These people can concentrate for long periods of times. Now remember also, they are rational, right? They're rational, logical, analytical, and especially when it has a clear goal or desirable product. They are motivated by personal achievement. They like to see status and recognition. Not that they're a great person, but within their learning environment. So within a classroom, they like structure. They want hands-on experiences in a structured classroom. They like rubrics. This is a picture of a rubric on the screen right now. They want objectives, and they want to be able that they understand the instructions for all things. They're not going to jump in and do an assignment or learn anything unless they've been given detailed step-by-step instructions on how to really approach the learning process. They do learn very well on their own, and they love research opportunities. They have a very high value for, or give a high value to, the quality teaching that comes from knowledgeable instructors. They want to make sure that their instructors are well informed. They are most comfortable when they know what's expected of them, hands-on, independent, details over facts, structure. They like to assimilate and prepare in advance, so they really want to be able to preview what's coming. So be sure that as an instructor, you give them some of that preview ability. They want to review and summarize and research, and they really need a clear purpose to learn. Now, if they are uncomfortable, so if you put them in too fast-paced of an instruction, or you made them the center of attention, or you gave them a surprise, they're going to become very rigid. And if you were to have a surprise in a classroom and something happens without, much warning, they might really become rigid about their time. And they may say, wait a minute, what about our schedule or our procedure? We're not going by the book here. They may become very critical or judgmental to others. This type of person also finds it very hard to delegate because they don't feel like they can really trust somebody to do something right. This is really important to remember when we look at the group work. They don't like to delegate because they don't trust someone to do the job right. Therefore, they don't enjoy group work. Teaching tips, remember that they really need a task. They like a task, and they learn best when they're given a situation where information can be applied immediately. That's why they call it task-oriented learning for them. They like real-life examples so that they can prove that they have knowledge. And one of the best ways you can do that as an educator is to really model what you're teaching. So prepared teaching, you want to have it in a logical flow. And if you have any doubts of what that logical flow is going to look like, why don't you ask somebody who has a similar type with an ISTJ and say, does this seem logical to you? Would you go from point A to point B in your lecture if you were this type of learner? So also help them to scaffold, because ISTJs may really have a hard time doing that, and that's because they really have difficulty creating connections and links between one part of learning to the next part of learning. So we really want to be able to create a framework for them. Provide time for them to process and reflect, and that's going to help them with this scaffolding process, especially as you give them tips and instructions on how to accomplish this. They need detailed feedback, very detailed. They're not going to be offended by criticism, but they're going to really get frustrated if they don't get feedback because they find it highly effective in their learning process, especially when the feedback is based off of a rubric. They also need opportunities to prepare in advance. Make sure you give that preview of what's going to happen the next day, especially if you can give them an objective that goes along with what will be taught. They can learn in groups, but remember, they don't really feel like people can be delegated to and that they're going to do the job right if they get into a situation that is frustrating to them. Therefore, they need to be in a group that's going to have some great expectations, that's going to be productive and structured. It's going to be efficiently organized. They're motivated by personal achievement, but only within learning. So make sure that you recognize what they are doing in their learning atmosphere. As a learner, you're very, very systemized in your learning process. You're organized. You like to have plans and charts, and you like to have it all put together. You're very organized. You're consistent, and this is really cool. But make sure that you also ask for objectives and rubrics so that you understand what is expected of your instructor. And look for step-by-step instructions like flowcharts or graphic organizers might really help you to put these out in step-by-step so that you really can envision what's going on. And that way you're also able to make connections. Use the same ideas for group projects, these same things of expectations, graphic organizers, step-by-step instructions. They'll help you when you are expected to perform a role within a group. Remember to prepare in advance or preview your learning, and take time to ponder and process. Find ways to apply your knowledge and look for some application. Also, always be sure to ask your instructors and mentors for help in this aspect. Relationship charts will really help you in scaffolding and in creating connections. Also, pay attention to what's going to help you to really learn. I like to write things down, and I suggest you do the same thing. Write some conscious notes of what's going on and what you have found that is really the most efficient, effective way for you to learn information.